In the mountains of northern Idaho, there is a town where every single downtown building is officially on the National Register of Historic Places. Now, this isn't some theme park or a forgotten movie set. It's a real working town called Wallace, a living museum of the American West. But its special status isn't just about preserving charming old buildings. It's the result of a wild 17-year battle that saw a tiny town of less than 1,000 people stare down the full power of the U.S. government. This is the story of how Wallace, Idaho, weaponized its own history to save its future. To really get Wallace, you have to rewind to 1884. That's when a guy named Colonel W.R. Wallace founded a settlement in this narrow valley, chasing rumors of gold. But it wasn't gold that put this place on the map, it was silver. Prospectors hit some of the richest silver veins on the entire planet, and just like that, the boom was on. The Coeur d'Alene mining district, with Wallace smack in the middle, would eventually crank out over 1.2 billion ounces of silver, earning it the nickname Silver Capital of the World. All that money drew miners from everywhere, and Wallace quickly became a rough-and-tumbled boomtown. Life here was hard, and the town was shaped by it. In 1890, a massive fire burned most of the original wooden buildings to the ground. But the people of Wallace were a stubborn and resilient bunch. They rebuilt with brick and stone, creating the gorgeous historic buildings you can still see today. The town also became a hotbed for the American labor movement, with violent clashes between powerful mine owners and unionizing workers that made national news. Through fires, floods, and full-blown labor wars, Wallace just kept going, fueled by what seemed like a never-ending river of silver. By the middle of the 20th century, the silver boom was starting to fade, and a totally different kind of threat appeared on the horizon. In the 1960s, the federal government rolled out its grand plan for Interstate 90. A massive highway stretching from coast to coast, and the proposed route straight through the heart of downtown Wallace. The plan was to bulldoze most of the historic center, including the beautiful Northern Pacific Railroad depot, to lay down a modern freeway. For the highway department, it was just progress. For Wallace, it was a death sentence. It looked like the end. Wrecking crews were already starting to demolish parts of the town. But Wallace wasn't going to go down without a fight. A local businessman, Harry Magnuson, decided it was time to push back. He got the community fired up, and they hatched a plan. They weren't just going to protest. They were going to use the government's own rules against it. Their strategy was pretty brilliant. For federal laws designed to protect historic places from being destroyed by federally funded projects like an interstate. So, the folks in Wallace decided to get their entire downtown officially recognized as a historic site. They went building by building, meticulously documenting the history and architecture of every single one. It was a huge undertaking. For 17 long years, Harry Magnuson and the community fought the government in court, tangling up the highway project in legal red tape. And then, in 1979, they finally did it. The Wallace Historic District was officially added to the National Register of Historic Places. Every building downtown was now protected. The federal government was in checkmate. You can't just demolish a nationally recognized historic district. Finally, they reached a compromise. The government agreed to build an elevated viaduct that would carry Interstate 90 right over the top of Wallace, leaving the town safely underneath. The viaduct opened, and for the first time, today Wallace, Idaho is a living monument to that victory. Walking down its streets really does feel like stepping back in time. You can take a tour of a preserved brothel at the Oasis Bordello Museum, catch a show at the 6th Street Melodrama, or just admire the beautiful turn-of-a-century architecture. The town has fully embraced its quirky side. They even declared a manhole cover the center of the universe. As a jab at the EPA, the mountains nearby offer incredible outdoor adventures, like the famous route of the Hiawatha Bike Trail. But the real soul of Wallace is its incredible story of survival. A story about a community that knew its past was valuable and refused to let it be erased. They prove that history isn't just something you read about in books. Sometimes it's something worth fighting for. What an amazing story of a town saving itself, right? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this trip into one of America's hidden corners, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Thanks for watching.